What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. So this is the juice video. If you guys are new to the channel or new to the juice series, first off, the juice is presented by Fish USA. If you guys aren't familiar with Fish USA, they're a huge online tackle retailer. They have everything you could ever want for fishing, not just bass fishing. So all of this tackle we're about to talk about, there'll be links in the description down below, and you can head over to Fish USA and check out all of the tackle there. So kind of leading into that, the juice is my recap video. We're gonna dive in and give you guys the juice. All of the rods, reels, line, tackle, equipment, patterns, all that good stuff from the previous tournament that we just fished. I mean, we give up the juice. There's no lying in these videos, no sponsor plugs. We give you the actual baits that I use, and hopefully you guys can learn something from this. So this video is the juice from Saginaw Bay, Stage 7 on the Bass Pro Tour. Yeah, let's just jump into it and we'll walk you through the whole tournament. Okay, well, it's hard to believe the season is over, but the 2025 Bass Pro Tour season is officially over. Stage 7 on Saginaw Bay. I was pretty excited about getting back to this one. You know, the last time we were at Saginaw Bay, I was able to win the tournament, but things were a little bit different this year. So heading into the tournament, heading into practice, you know, I knew things were going to be different because of the every fish counts format. You know, in 2023, it was a 5-fish limit. So those big smallmouth played a lot more than the numbers of 2 to 3 pound largemouth. So I knew going into this tournament that the largemouth were going to be a huge factor, and I needed to mix them into my game plan. So I actually took an approach where I planned on fishing for both species, and I caught both species of fish throughout the week, throughout the tournament. And, you know, I thought I had a pretty solid game plan heading into the tournament, but as things work out, it just didn't quite work out during the tournament the way I wanted. And, you know, I was sitting in decent shape, you know, about halfway through the second day, and kind of made a gamble and then didn't catch any in the third period, ended up finishing 50th place. So not the best finish, but we had a lot of fun and caught us a lot of bass. Saginaw Bay is a place that's absolutely full of fish, and it's truly incredible the amount of largemouth in there that you can just catch them on fun baits, and that's exactly what we did. This was one of the first tournaments, or the first tournament in a long time that I can remember where I had all braided line on the deck. I think I weighed every largemouth for sure. I did weigh in a couple smallmouth on a spinning rod, but every largemouth that I caught and weighed was on straight braided line and a couple different baits. So, you know, Saginaw Bay, very shallow water for your largemouth fishing. For me, I found a couple stretches of pencil reeds that just had a little bit of grass mixed in with the pencil reeds, and it was just a little bit deeper water. So say rather than 8 inches of water, it was 10 inches of water or 12 inches of water. So very shallow water. But if you found those pencil reeds that had just a little bit deeper water in them, there was just a ton of bass. It's unbelievable how many bass would get in some of these stretches. You know, there was probably a 200-yard stretch of reeds that had that ingredients. Cole Floyd and I started the tournament there and shared it both the first 2 days. And I think each of the first 2 days, I mean, we pulled at least 40 bass out of that little stretch, and that was in just, you know, the first couple hours of the day. So it's pretty incredible how many fish would be piled into these small areas, and there was a lot of that going on all around the bay. You know, a lot of guys found those small little sweet spots like that and just caught huge numbers of fish in small areas. It was pretty incredible to see. So let's dive into the equipment. That's what everyone likes to see, is the baits that got the job done. So let's talk about that. We're going to talk about the largemouth equipment first, and then kind of lean into the smallmouth equipment. The smallmouth is a little, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more straightforward, a little more simple. So largemouth fishing, I mean, let's be real, it was pretty simple as well. I had a couple swim jigs on the deck and a couple frogs on the deck, and that was what caught all of the fish for me. So this is the guy that caught the bulk of the fish for me. is just a shad colored swim jig. So this is actually an arc swim jig. I don't know the exact name of it, and I just had a little Menace trailer on the back, but I like that shad profile, shad color. And you know, I was throwing him on a 7'3" heavy rod. So this was for when I was actually throwing in the reeds, you know, casting, making precise cast, you know, looking for little lanes in the reeds or even pitching it sometimes, and not really making extremely long casts. So I had a shad color, and then I had more of a bluegill purplish color one as well on the deck. And I would just kind of alternate between those two. To be completely honest with you, I would start with the white one or the shad color, and I would catch as many as I could on that until the bait was tore up, the trailer was tore up, whatever. And I'd sit down and re-rig a new trailer and super glue it on there, and then I would pick up the purple one until its trailer was ruined, and then do the same thing and just alternate. And you know, I didn't really seem to matter what color you were throwing. It was just getting a bait in front of those fish. So those were my two swim jigs for in, you know, the heavy cover in the reeds. And I did have another swim jig on the deck. So this is a little bit different swim jig. This is actually a evergreen grass ripper swim jig. So it's a little bit different head design and a little more finessey profile, a little bit smaller hook. And this is the one I was fishing a little bit more offshore. So if I was throwing at submergent grass that was just outside the reeds, or maybe at the edge of the reeds, kind of paralleling them, not really putting it back in there as far, you know, I went with this little bit different swim jig. I had two of them as well. I had a, you know, kind of a green pumpkin, black and blue color, and then a shad color as well. In this one, the shad one actually got bit off by a pike and destroyed, and so I don't have one left rigged up, but I had two of those as well. And again, like I said, throwing it on straight braid. But this one that I was kind of casting more, a little bit offshore, I went with a 7'6" heavy rod. So I went a little bit longer rod because I was making longer casts and almost fishing this in open water in some situations. So I wanted that longer rod to be able to, you know, cast further, set the hook and whatnot. So all of the swim jigs, I had 50-pound Seaguar Tactics braided line. Really love that Tactics for, you know, fishing around that heavy cover vegetation, the reeds, the submergent grass. 50-pound Seaguar Tactics braided line, that's my go-to for all of that. So swim jig did the bulk of the damage, but there was a couple places that were so shallow that it was even too shallow for the swim jig. Maybe there was some matted cover, whatnot, and that's when I picked up the little frog. So this is just a little Kiera frog that I was throwing right here, and was able to get some bites on him, just fishing him real slow around the small, kind of more scattered reeds, or you know, the very matted vegetation, lily pads, things like that. If I came into a little place that had them, caught a few fish on the frog. Actually throwing it on the same setup as the close cover swim jig, 7'3" heavy, 50-pound Seaguar Tactics braided line. And yeah, it was just a power fishing 101 tournament, you know, and a lot of the guys were throwing very similar baits in the very similar areas, and it was just absolutely incredible to see how many largemouth come out of some of these places. Saginaw Bay is healthy and well, and super impressed with that. And it was fun to just put on some braid and just get to jacking them. So like I mentioned earlier, after the first 2 days of the tournament, I went and smallmouth fished in the third period. And for smallmouth, like I said, I kept it extremely simple and just threw a drop shot. So I was using my live scope, looking around for fish. I actually went to the same place where I won at in 2023 and weighed a few fish there, just throwing a drop shot at the fish I saw. So throwing Seaguar PEX8 braided line on my spinning rod. So this is actually a 7-foot medium spinning rod. 18-pound Seaguar PEX8 braided line, and then I went to 8-pound Seaguar Tatsu fluorocarbon for the leader. Down at the hook, this is a Trocar TK150. It's their drop shot hook, number 4 size, real small little hook right there. Then you got an Epic tungsten teardrop drop shot weight. This is actually a 1/4 ounce because I was fishing in about 15 feet of water. If I went a little bit deeper, I went to a 3/8 of an ounce. I don't have any laying around here, but same weight, just went to a 3/8 ounce. So this is actually the tie-on drop shot weight that allows you to tie a knot on there so he can't slide off and pull out. Now, for the bait, let's pull out the tried and true. There's actually only one left in this package. I'm gonna need to get some more of them. They've been soaking in some scent, so they're a little stinky. But I went with the exact same bait that worked for me last time up there, and that is the shad-shaped worm in Becker's Magic Juice. It's a beautiful color. It's a dark green pumpkin back with a natural shad belly. Excellent choice for all of your smallmouth. And that, you know, the water clarity in Saginaw Bay isn't quite the best, especially the area that I was fishing. It was just a little bit cloudy kind of color. So I went with that darker bait rather than a, you know, more of a natural shad type color that I typically would. But that's what caught all the smallmouth for me. And like I said, it just didn't quite work out. Didn't have the best tournament, but I felt like the tackle was dialed in. I felt like I made good decisions, but things just didn't go my way this week. And that is what it is. It's part of the game. So appreciate you guys tuning in to this video. Leave me those likes and comments down below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave us some video ideas down in the comments down below. We actually have a little bit of time off now. So if you have any content ideas, make sure to always drop them down in the comments below. And as always, appreciate you guys. See you next time.